Good evening, everybody. I hope you can see and hear me okay. You're very welcome to another weekly webinar run by the Student Recruitment Office here in DCU. My name is Sinead McCrohan. I'm delighted to be hosting this session today, which will focus on the BSc in Digital Business and Innovation, which is a new course that the DCU Business School will be running from September onwards. So the last few weeks, we have covered lots of different course areas in DCU, from psychology to maths to physics and chemistry. And I'm delighted to have a very focused webinar today on this brand new course. If you've never been to any of our webinars before, you're very welcome. If you would like to get involved in the discussion and if you have any questions, I'll just draw your attention to the Q&A function that's at the bottom of your Zoom screen at the minute. So that Q&A box is open if you would like to ask our presenter anything in relation to the new course. So without further ado, I will welcome Professor Brian Harney onto this webinar, who is going to be able to tell you all about this exciting new course in DCU. So Brian, I'm going to promote you to a panelist now, and you'll be able to join me on screen.
Great, thanks very much, Sinead.
Hi, Brian, how are you?
Good. Thank you very much for the introduction.
No problem, and thank you very much for joining us. I know you're very busy at the moment, so we really appreciate you taking the time out of your day. Brian, you are free to screen share whenever you'd like to begin. And as I said, anyone in the call, if you do have a question along the way, pop it in the Q&A function and then we can take a look at the end.
Great, look, thanks very much. And for everyone attending, I'm just going to run through a few slides. It's going to be very informal. And then I'm the lead on this program, its development, and I'll be program chair next year. So I'm happy to take any questions then, have a chat with you. We can get your details if we need to come back with anything. And first of all, listen, thanks for taking the time to learn more about it. And hopefully that's okay, Sinead, in terms of the screen there.
Great. Thanks, Brian.
So as I said, look, I don't want to over-formalize this or go through too much detail. I know you are all very busy. It is a program we're really excited about, and thanks to Sinead for dedicating this session. So it's a digital business and innovation. It's a brand new degree, so September will be the first intake. So those of you that are interested will have first mover advantage in this exciting area. DCU Business School, top 5% of schools in the world, and obviously DCU, renowned for its student-centered focus. So we were Sunday Times University of the Year 2021, which really importantly called out our ability to navigate the fog of COVID, is the way they described it. Won't spend too long on this. This is just by way of motivation. And the argument is that Ireland as a country, and this is true of many countries, are failing to create graduates, appropriate graduates with the appropriate skill sets for jobs of the future. And I suppose in comes DCU Futures and our new suite of 10 programs following government investment in this space. And just in terms of headlines, what's different about these things? Well, first of all, we've partnered with Accenture, with Intel, with Microsoft. And the idea is that as well as our traditional work placement, which is really important in third year of your program, you will have chances to interact, engage, and learn with industry from day one. So how do we stay current and stay up to date? Well, let's learn from companies that are leading edge and are at the cusp of new developments in terms of digital, AR, blockchain, everything that's going on in that digital space. Let's make it novel for you as well. So you leaving Cert or you join education and you think of, I've got a lecture, same lecture, 2 hours for 12 weeks. Well, let's mix that up a little bit. Let's have sessions where you're designing a new product or service and you've got a 3-hour session, and maybe the next day you have to present back on that idea. So these things are called sprints. Let's get away as well, and this is a big one for us, with traditional exams. As important as it is for the Leaving Cert, as we move into university, do exams really reflect workplace experiences? So what we've done for this degree, and we're calling out, and we're very proud and happy to do so, is there's no examinations at all. And by examinations, I mean terminal examinations, end of year, where you've got 2 hours sitting in a room. We, of course, have plenty of dynamic assessment, which is going to be critical, but not in your traditional form. We'll focus on development, self-awareness, and your own skills, and I'll come back to that. And it might not seem novel now, but will be as we go forward, that 15% at least of this will be delivered online with resources online. There's more devices in the world, 7 times more devices than people in the world. So we all know this digital power. There's more data created than in the last few years than the entire existence of humankind. So what do we do with all that big data? Big data is not big knowledge. Where do we see this? So this is digital business and innovation. I was trying to think of an example of where we can see this. Well, look at this fridge, Samsung fridge, advertised on Amazon. And if you look at its components, cameras, so you know what's inside the fridge. You can write notes or draw pictures on the touch screen. You can stream music, mirror your TV. So this, to me, is an example of the confluence of digital and how digital is ubiquitous. It's everywhere. And some organizations are leading edge in terms of digital, and some are struggling a bit more. And it's important that we create graduates able to help both those organizations. So your big multinational firms, but also your local SME, your local shop that you will have seen as trying to become more digital in the last few months. Does it matter? Yes, the more you're digital, the more you outperform your competitors. Is it difficult? Yes. Irish organizations struggle, and this research 2021 shows that. CEOs say digital is really important, but they worry about then the availability of skills. So just this little quote here, 70% of CEOs believe their business model is under attack, 90% of them saying they don't have the skill set to deal with that. So we know there's a digital transformation happening in organizations, but organizations don't feel they have the staff, the capabilities, the graduates to deal with that challenge. And so this is essentially where this degree fits in. It's to bridge that gap. It's to provide students who are digitally fluent, so can understand the digital, but equally understand the business, so creativity. Learning objectives, what you'll get from this. So when you join us on this program, what can you expect to achieve after 4 years? A deep understanding of these technologies, new technologies, how they work, how they impact business, equally how they impact society. Application of these technologies from multinationals to startups to different contexts. Innovation mindset, so how to think differently, how to ask important questions, how to invent and reinvent the way businesses do things. And also at an individual level for yourself, the ability to continuously acquire and develop skills. So ambitious here, but that's what we're going for with this degree. 3 years or 4 years with a work placement. First year, just to give you some oversight, and I can pick up on these on questions in terms of details. Digital business ecosystem. So what's going on in the environment? What are the drivers for change? Who are the key players? Who are the partners? What's the platform strategy? Digital tools, which means you're going to get exposure working with businesses in terms of what does this technology do? How does it operate? How does it benefit businesses? What are the challenges? So for example, we're talking about an organization about having a virtual reality challenge very early in the module, and then exploring how virtual reality can help businesses. We've got fantastic modules that run across our programs. So modules that introduce you to different types of businesses. So life includes innovative ways of thinking, critical thinking, analytics, your foundations as well, accounting, economics. And then this transform yourself module, which is based on you as an individual and your self-awareness. We move into second year. So that's foresight. What's the potential of technology? Second year is insight. So digital business models. How do businesses deploy different technologies, and how do they get value from them? So value creation and value capture. Again, a focus on the technical then, digital labs, working with our industry partners on how technology actually works, insights into coding, innovators toolkit, how we think differently, understanding failure. So unique in Ireland. This, in fact, is the first program in Ireland in digital business, but failure as a topic, unique in exploring it, learning from failure. Critical thinking, again, always comes up in the World Economic Forum as skills required for the future. and project management for digital business. So when we're running a transformation or involved in a transformation, how can we explore and manage it? With our DCU programs, you get your third year work placement. So really important to get out there, get industry experience, get experience in a digital business, in a digital environment. And then we come back for fourth year in terms of, a challenge-based project. So you work in teams to solve a problem set to you by one of our client businesses. Digital leadership and change. So managing that process and leadership within the business. Conscious innovation. So innovation for whom? Is innovation all good? Is tech disruption always positive? What are the unintended consequences? Analytics again. And then the diffusion of innovation in economies. So I've gone through it very fast there, but it's just to give you a taster and a feel for what we feel are really exciting and new and innovative modules. We've structured it two ways: digital quotient and human quotient. So year one, foresight, and that's your digital business ecosystems, which is business related. Digital business tools, which is technical, and then you have your analytics. We move into second year then, which is insights. So that essentially puts that in the context of the business. So business models, digital labs and failure, as I mentioned. And then the third and fourth year is essentially putting this all into practice. So into action, which are challenge-based project and your digital leadership challenge. So very much leaning on the digital side of things and understanding the business case for digital, matched by what we're terming the human quotient. And that essentially is this unique set of modules, which is part of the DCU Futures initiative, whereby you develop a skill set around self-awareness, understanding diversity and inclusion, assessing your own biases, learning in second year how you work in teams, personal agility, how you use technology, a technology audit. What are the benefits of the technology I'm using? What are the pitfalls? Time management, managing my own resources. And this will tee you up as well for your work placement. You come back from your work placement, you get to reflect on what you learn. And in the final year, we'll focus on future-proofing yourself, looking at your career, developing your CV, developing the skill sets that you need. So there's a bit of an autonomy in terms of what you want to learn here. And again, unique for this program and the DCU Futures, we're going to track that learning over time. So you leave not simply with a degree, which is really, really important, but also with a transcript of transversal learning skills. So essentially an e-portfolio, a virtual CV of everything that you've picked up as you've followed the journey through your degree. So something that you can have for now, but a skill set to help you learn no matter what job or role that you're in. As you're considering universities, and I'd make this no matter where you're looking at, always think of the benefits outside the classroom too, in terms of modes of learning, who we engage with. DCU in particular, fantastic opportunity, no matter what you're interested, sport, music, gamification, different societies, and different ways for you to sort of meet different people and embed yourself in the university. So hugely exciting opportunity beyond the modules that you're being delivered. We'll always get this question, it might be there already. What are the potential careers? What am I looking at? Okay, so this is year one of this program. So obviously we're projecting into the future. And part of our idea is to design skill sets and abilities for jobs that don't yet exist, because we won't know what digital jobs will look like. But we can flag areas that hold relevance, like digital business analyst, consultant, innovation management, a translator. So that's someone who takes the technical skills and links it with the business skills, marries the engineering in an organization with the business and management in the organization. Loads of opportunity as well, startup space, businesses starting up in this space. And we have a very strong track record in terms of graduate employability, going out into organizations, but equally setting up their own organizations, digital transformation, cloud computing, and mobile technologies. So plenty out there. And if you look at the current jobs at the moment, analytics is huge in terms of what organizations are demanding. And to go back to one of my earlier slides, digital skill sets are what organizations are really crying out for and calling out for. in the current era. As I said, we've years of experience in this space while this degree is new. So we've got a fantastic track record in terms of organizations that students have ended up working for. And frequently, actually, it's an organization that you did your work placement for. They've got to know you, they've built a relationship with you, and a lot of the time you're offered a job before you even finish your final year. So plenty of opportunity there to build relationships. So what I'll do is I'll stop there, and I'm conscious I've gone through that really, really quickly, but I didn't want to burden you with too much information, and I know you're busy and stuck for time, and I'll take some questions, more comments.
Thank you so much for that, Brian. So informative and a really exciting course coming up. The potential to be training for jobs that don't even exist yet. I mean, that's innovative. And also that fridge I'm going to be saving up for, because it seems like it could even do your assignments for you. So there's a question that's come in. It's actually some via the Q&A and some via the chat. So the first one that's come in, you probably get this a lot about the points. Someone's asked, do you have an estimate on the points range? I'm aware the official points aren't released until August.
Yeah, look, it's a great question. And because this is first year of a program, all I can say is we expect it to be in the range of our current business programs. It is contingent on demand. And obviously, as this is new, we can't read that in advance. So I wouldn't guess, but I would say the range of our current programs so if you look across business programs last year, we expect it to sit somewhere there.
Perfect. Thank you, Brian. Another one in there, is the course more IT computer science based than business related? The person is kind of more business subject oriented and doesn't do science. So would they find it particularly difficult, do you think?
Yeah, look, really, really great question. And what we get with this is that it's not how to code and what does coding do and how does coding work. It's not a technical under the bonnet course. So it's not computer science or it's not engineering. It's simply giving you exposure to coding. And they're basically saying, how can this help businesses? Or how can this speak to a business problem or challenge? So it's asking what you can do with the technology. You won't leave as an expert in the technology, in the mechanics and the process, in the coding. You'll have exposure to a broad suite of technologies, but then have that translator role where you can say, I mightn't know necessarily how this works, but I know what it does. And I can see how this links with what the organization is trying to do over here.
Absolutely. And I suppose something to add as well is that you should look at the kind of requirements for all the courses. And if it doesn't require, say, doing computers in school or higher level maths or the likes of that, it's not expected that you have that level going in. So, you can be assured that even if kind of tech is new to you, you'll be taught from the ground up, and then the business school will help you through that. Not to mention all the supports that are available. If you're struggling with maths, we have a maths learning center, which is an area you can go free of charge and get help with your maths questions. We have a language writing center for your assignments if you're struggling with that. So there is a lot of help if you are kind of struggling with the subject when you come in. A couple of questions there in the chat. What kind of technologies will you be studying? We're familiar with digital technology like online and e-commerce, social media, but are there other types that they'll be studying that maybe students in sixth year haven't come across yet?
Yeah, no, it's again a great question, and in a way, this is why we've partnered with industry, because I can list them off here and say that it's blockchain, it's virtual reality, it's social media, and whatever the channels are. But what we're going to do is we're going to take the lead from industry, and they're going to tell us what they're working on. And that will inform what we do in those labs. So this is something we're really, really excited about, because universities get criticisms that they're maybe a bit slower moving or they're in the past. So how do we stay on the pulse? Well, we learn from what the best companies are doing, and then we give our students exposure to what those technologies are. So, and within that as well, there'll be room for choice. So if you've got a virtual reality, if you just go, wow, this is just phenomenal, and I can really see, I just want to learn more about it. We've designed the assessments in such a way that you can focus your assessment on the business value of virtual reality. So you get to deep dive into that. Maybe you're less interested in fintech or something like that. So you get to manage it a little bit. But we'll take the lead from industry. And back to your previous point, which I think is really important, is that there is no expectation that you have any grounding knowledge in anything. And I think one thing DCU and the business school have been really good at over time is making sure that we bring people in gradually. So we don't throw everything at you at this. We'll show you a learning journey, and then everyone is enabled for that journey.
Absolutely. Sure, even the subject of business for the Leaving Cert isn't a requirement, which a lot of people are surprised by. And they think, you know, if I'm going to go into a business degree in university, well, I have to have studied it for the Leaving Cert. Not the case in DCU. It really is, you know, you're coming in on a fresh page, everyone, and then you build up together. And something as well, Brian, because I myself, I did a business degree in DCU, and the internship's also a fantastic way to kind of establish what you like and what areas you might like to go into, because you could be really, say, VR, that example that you use, you know, you might get to do an the work placement for a year in a company that is involved in those projects, and then you have almost a year's work experience in that area before you even leave the university. So as you mentioned at the start, DCU, really interested in preparing graduates for the real world, not just sitting in a lecture hall for 4 years and kind of not having hands-on experience. Someone has asked, would you know about the places on the course and how many are on offers? Again, that's kind of up in the air at the minute.
My understanding, and this is subject to change, so it's I suppose got a little star on it to say, but I believe there's 25 places at the moment.
Thank you. Sorry, I think my internet is going a little bit. Apologies if it's lagging on my side. One more question in there for you, Brian. Can you do your work placement in the US?
It's something we will facilitate anything but with something like that, if you can arrange it and if we can verify it, if you can sort the visas and all the requirements out, we have a system whereby we can match it and say, yes, this matches up with our requirements. Away you go. So same with international as well, and international placements and these type of things. So it's not built in, so it's not something that we'll be facilitating or that everyone does, but it's something that if you wanted to do, we will help you get to it.
Absolutely, thank you. And someone else just commented that they work as a web designer sometimes. Do you think that would help with the course? Is that an area you think you're going to cover?
Yeah, it definitely delves in a little bit to that. So yeah, that experience would be great to bring to the table. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's perfect. If anyone has a question in the next minute or two, do pop them in. This session is recording, and we'll be able to send a link of the recording to all of our attendees today. So if you would like to watch Brian's fantastic presentation back, you'll be able to do so. In terms of questions that may crop up in another couple of days that you maybe have forgotten to ask live, that's no problem. The email that you got this link from today, studenthelp@dcu.ie, is our general inbox for any queries that come into the university. So if you would like to ask a question, we can send it off to Brian then, or if you'd like to ask something about internships or other business school courses, do let us know and we'll be able to send it on. So I don't see any more questions coming in at the minute, but as I said, Brian, at the start, I imagine a lot of these students might be interested in coming to DCU this year. So the very best of luck with that. I hope it goes well for everybody. Then I think my internet might be faltering this late in the day. Oh, one more question coming in, Brian, before we head off. Are all of the modules offered by the business department, or is it an interdisciplinary program or interfaculty, I suppose?
Yeah, no, again, it's a good question. So if you look at some of the DCU futures, they're very, so I know there's one in sort of psychology and mathematics and psychological disruption. This is by and large a business school program, but what I would say is we've got a diverse skill set of faculty within the business school that have different disciplinary perspectives. And in final year, there's what's called a challenge-based project. And the idea is that you would get to work with other DCU Futures faculties, so students that aren't business, in helping to solve that problem for the organization. So we'll try and interdisperse interdisciplinary elements through the modules, but it's a business degree, if you like. It's not a joint faculty degree.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you mentioned, Brian, you could be in a lecture with people from across different courses as well in the business school, or not to mention even clubs and societies where people get to mingle with people who maybe don't. You kind of reference that in the slides, because a huge amount of learning goes on outside of the lecture hall in any university, and particularly DCU, who are very encouraging about clubs and society kind of membership. Someone just wants to clarify about places. I think they might be confusing places with placements. Intra and DCUs, I suppose, guaranteed, right, for every student that comes in. We wouldn't necessarily have competitive placements. There's not a limited number. Would that be correct?
Yeah, no, the placement is part of the program, and it's a really, really important part. There is competitiveness in the sense that you may do interviews, but we'll always find a place for students.
Mm-hmm.
And just to your point a few seconds ago, it is a phenomenal opportunity to get work experience in your space. And some people come back and say, look, this isn't for me. I thought I'd like this organization or this context. And that's just as important to learning as someone who comes back and says, I absolutely love what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And one thing we're doing with this program is we're helping people to make the most of that 1 year away. So we're going to set up a module whereby we get people to, how are you going to reflect? What are you going to do in the first 100 days? What does learning look like? And then when the work placement is finished, it's what did each and every one person learn? How can we share the learning across the room? How does it vary by sector? So that's the focus.
Yeah, absolutely. And you often hear that of students who think they really want to go into an area, do their internship and come out and actually go, maybe it's not exactly what I thought it would be, but better figuring that out on a year's internship in university than, signing a 3-year contract in some company and then realizing actually it's not for you. And probably even reflects in that module about failure, Brian, or failure or dislike to something, like that's a part of work and human existence. And it's good to acknowledge that not everything's going to run absolutely perfectly for you the whole time. Would you have any information, Brian, on roughly how many assessments there would be? I suppose that's based on how many modules there are throughout the year.
Yeah, I wouldn't have that stat off. What I can say is what we've done with this program is try to group modules so there's less assessments. So typically university modules, not always, are 5 credits. And what we've tried to introduce is more 10 credits. So that enables us to do block teaching, block learning, and spread assessments so that there isn't a sort of a backlog of assessments coming at you all in December or all in May time, that they're actually spread out a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
Just reading on the comment there, I see someone sort of saying that they're trying to get a grips with what the degree is all about, and I know I went through it very fast. And what I would say is just maybe look at it in comparison to some of the existing programs, and get a feel for the approach. So the work placement is year 3. And then you'll have your suite of modules, first year, second year, work placement, and then the final year. But yeah, put a few courses side by side and have a look and see what's different. And then if you've got questions on the back of that, feel free to sort of come to us and we'll help navigate it for you.
Mm-hmm. And they can be assured as well that it takes a huge amount of kind of work and research order for any course to be approved to run in a university. So there is, accreditation behind these courses and industry demand, as you mentioned at the very start, Brian. So I suppose there is demand for, as you said, graduates with a degree like this in the future. So that might provide some comfort for those who are kind of curious about potential opportunities in the future. So you kind of covered this earlier, but someone's just asked, does the course overlap with any other courses in the business school? I'd imagine so, like MINT, which is marketing, innovation and technology, or general business.
Yeah, so there are aspects of it that do overlap, and in that sense, you will get to meet sort of a broader student base. There are modules then, so the digital business modules, the digital labs are dedicated, if you like, for the program, or program specific. But we've got a fantastic induction module, for example, which is basically bringing everyone together, getting them to exposures of ideas, how the business school works, getting just informal working in teams, setting up projects, few just challenges, just to be comfortable with the environment, and that's across the business school, and that's a fantastic sort of few days where people just get sort of immersed and settled in to the university.
I think someone's just thanked you and said, hope to see you on campus soon. And we hope to see you also around campus soon. Hopefully we'll be all back to normal before we know it. Just as we finish up, just on the half an hour mark for you, Brian, someone's asking, would you be able to list maybe a key difference between MINT and this course? Because I know that they can sound similar in terms of the kind of future focused nature.
Yeah, so Mint is very much marketing, new product development, and this degree is very much digital in the broader business sense.
Thank you. And I know they do a biotech, don't they, module in Mint as well, which is interesting. So again, as Brian said, this information available on our website with the course structures when you look at each page. So if you are kind of torn between a number of these courses, you can actually lay them out side by side and compare and contrast with them, which is a great resource to have. And as I said at the start, whether it's the business school or our student recruitment team in DCU, any questions like this, please do send them in, because over the next month or so, we'll do nothing but try to help you narrow down your choices. And if we can connect you with a lecturer like Brian, who's so knowledgeable about this new course, or whether it's a different course and you want to speak to a student, we can arrange that. Please don't hesitate to get in touch. And also we have our on-campus tours back up and running. So if you would like to visit our campus, maybe not in the next, well, maybe the next week or two, if you want to do your study and then visit afterwards, we're running it during the summer as well. So do get in touch again via studenthelp@dcu.ie, and we'll be able to ask one maybe personal question, Brian, for you there before we go. Someone's asked, what's your specialism? What's your area of interest in terms of lecturing and research?
Yeah, I'm professor in strategy and human resource management. So I focus a lot on small firms growth and development. But I have been involved in a number of EU projects on curriculum innovations. So innovations in the way we deliver and design education. So I'm involved in a €1 million project with Ljubljana, University of Newcastle, University of Warsaw, and a number of South Korean universities. So I think it's in that guise that I've been involved in this fantastic university initiative across DCU in terms of DCU Futures, which I think is just phenomenally exciting. And I think it's a great time to join education. And I think fair play to you for taking the time to learn about things. And I think no matter what, there's always a little bit of room to switch your focus and learn. And even after a degree, it doesn't mean that you're caught in that discipline for life. You've got masters, you can do a few years work placement and then come back. So in a way, it's a bit of a lifelong journey, but I think starting here is a great place to start.
Absolutely. And on that note, we will finish up. Thank you everyone for attending today. As I said, please do keep in contact with us if you'd like to ask more questions. We're more than happy to help you out. Particular thanks to Brian today for your time, a great half an hour worth of information for our students, and best of luck to everyone over the coming weeks. I hope if you're doing the Leaving Cert, it goes well for you. I hope your predicted grades go the way you'd like. And again, hope to see you on campus soon. Thank you, Brian, and thanks to everyone who attended.
Best of luck, everyone. Cheers. Thanks, Sinead. Cheers. Bye.